Hello, welcome to Crypto with Kash podcast or cast episode number 5. If you're new to this, my name is Duncan Morland. I'm a writer with Market Prospectors, even forgot the company I work for. And I'm joined by Kashaya Bassi, who runs the Crypto with Kash newsletter. How are you doing today, Kash?
I'm all good, doing very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. This is probably the highlight of my day. I think I've just been writing boring stuff all day, so I'm looking forward to talking about some crypto topics with you. But before we get into that, next Tuesday we're holding a live crypto webinar where Kash will be walking people through his crypto trading strategy and sharing one of the coins from the Crypto with Kash portfolio. There'll be a link under the podcast video on YouTube, or I guess in the description on the podcast channels if you want to join us for that. It's completely free. We've done one before which went really well. Kash walked everyone through his strategy and sort of then did a live Q&A where he answered everyone's questions. So we're going to do the same thing this time. So if you're interested in joining us for that, then there'll be a link underneath. Anyway, today's topics, we have quite a lot to do with Ethereum, different networks, virtual machines, and other good stuff. So I'll just throw the first question at you, and these all come from the community. So the first question was, why do some platforms offer some cryptos while others don't? And which platforms offer the most cryptos? So I guess they're asking, some exchanges like Binance and Coinbase have, some cryptocurrencies that are available, that aren't available on some platforms. And then there's help, Kash. I'm already drowning in this question. Like what?
No, that's right. So I would say I think it ultimately comes down to the screening processes that each exchange implements. So, for example, Coinbase, up until like maybe a couple months ago, they were very, very strict in regards to what coins they allow on their platforms. Perhaps this is due to their due diligence, or perhaps because of regulation, or for any other reason. It could be, for example, there's a certain threshold of interest or volume or social media, how popular it is on social media before it gets picked up by these exchanges. At the same time, you've got to remember, not all of these coins are legitimate projects. So in order for these companies to protect themselves, they have to do a strict screening process to only allow the best of the best projects through. And of course, different exchanges have different levels of security and different sort of measures that they allow in. So that's arguably the main reason. Binance, for example, is probably the exchange with the highest number of coins in regards to one of the. So basically, Coinbase doesn't have as many coins as Binance does. FTX is an up-and-coming exchange. They're adding more coins because Sam Bankman-Fried, who's the CEO of FTX, he's very involved in the Twitter communities. So as soon as he sees a new coin becoming popular or a new coin being discussed, he quickly adds it to the exchange because, that can generate revenue for them and they can attract volume. Binance has a lot of coins, but Coinbase, again, I think they're a lot stricter when it comes to adding coins onto their platform.
Yeah, and I'd say from what I've heard, Kraken, which is another, I think it's a UK-based exchange, is even more stricter with what they add. So, and then also you've got, so they're the centralized exchanges, which are the easiest places, I guess, to, where most people end up to buy their first cryptocurrencies. And then you've got the decentralized exchanges like Uniswap and stuff. And am I right in thinking anybody can list a crypto?
Anybody can list any crypto on Uniswap, yes, or any decentralized exchange. Which is why, for example, there are a lot of scams. So, for example, say there's a coin that's newly been added onto Coinbase, for example, a lot of scammers would try to take advantage of that by using the same ticker but just putting it on Uniswap, pretending it's the same token.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're a newcomer, if you're not aware of the possibilities of these scams, and you can fall for that. Like, for example, it could be added onto Coinbase. It could be trading at maybe $30 a coin, for example, but then they'd add it onto Uniswap and make it start trading at $10, for example, pretending that they're giving a discount or there's a certain incentive for them to give these discounts on the coins. and of course they kind of lure unsuspecting traders in like this.
So yeah, so I guess the bigger centralized exchanges, you've got that benefit of like curation, but then I guess the benefit of a decentralized exchange is you can invest in, if you know how to avoid the scams and stuff, you can invest in, potentially very good products very early on, I guess, can't
Exactly, that's definitely true. A lot of these projects that do get added onto these large exchanges started off, on decentralized exchanges, and that's not to say all coins on decentralized exchanges are scams. That's definitely not the case. But yeah, I'm just trying to get across the idea that it is very easy. Anyone can add any token with any ticker onto these exchanges. So you've got to be careful. And like you said, if you do your research, you can come across some really projects early on while they are still on the decentralized exchange platforms and not centralized ones, and you can make good profits. But it's very difficult to find solid projects, that haven't already been bought up and added onto these big exchanges.
Yeah. Especially, I guess, if, like you said, like the guy running the FTX exchanges, if he's trying to get projects on as early as possible now anyway, then it's kind of a good thing. So I hope that answers. The second part of that question, which was which exchange offers the most, I guess you kind of answered that. It was Binance.
Yeah, so Binance, I think, it attracts the largest amount of volume out of all the other exchanges. I wouldn't necessarily say it supports the highest number of coins. I think perhaps decentralized exchanges would take that title. Then again, there are some lower, like mid-tier exchanges that offer loads of coins as well. And a lot of times coins get added onto those mid-tier exchanges before they get added onto the large ones. So by numbers, I'm not sure whether Binance covers the highest number of coins, but in terms of volume, it definitely is in first place for that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I hope that answers that question. Number two, and I think this is a really interesting one, is I think we should just start with what is the Ethereum Virtual Machine, Kash?
So essentially, like an Ethereum Virtual Machine is, if a project is EVM compatible, that means essentially you can port any sort of project that is on Ethereum over onto this new project. So for example, Binance Smart Chain is EVM compatible. That means any project that is on Ethereum can essentially be copied and pasted onto Binance Smart Chain. So for example, different projects have different coding languages and programming languages. So Ethereum uses what is called Solidity, whereas, for example, Solana uses Rust. You would not be able to copy and paste projects from Ethereum over onto Solana. You need to rewrite the whole coding in that. My Siri's going off, I think.
My phone just went off at the same time, and that's good. And I just say, when you say projects, you mean projects like decentralized exchanges or yield farming platforms or whatever?
Exchanges, lending protocols, borrowing protocols.
Yeah.
Pretty much the vast majority, I would say, of the top 100 coins are coins which are built on top of Ethereum. And that's how the ecosystem is built. And a lot of people choose to actually move away from Ethereum over to these EVM compatible chains like Binance Smart Chain because of the high fees that are associated with Ethereum. For example, if you want to send any sort of token all over the Ethereum network, you'd have to pay upwards of $30, $40. If you want to make a swap on exchange on a decentralized exchange on Ethereum, you'd have to pay upwards of $100 per transaction. Whereas if you move over to, like, for example, Binance Smart Chain, you could do essentially the same thing if it is supported, if that certain project is supported, and only pay maybe $1 for trading fees or transaction fees. Sorry.
Yes, that was a kind of our third question. So it fits into this, is about fees, which you just answered. Like, that's why a lot of people have migrated from using Ethereum for different things, like making interest on their cryptos or using the exchanges on Ethereum or whatever it is, to projects like Binance Smart Chain and Solana to get those low fees. And that's, with the NFTs, I remember you saying that a lot of people were buying Solana to buy NFTs, and I guess that was taking place on there because of lower transaction fees as well, maybe?
Absolutely. And funnily enough, I think some members in our Telegram group realized just how cheap it is to make transactions on these alternative platforms, even if it was from moving funds from one exchange to another. If I recall correctly, some people use the Tron network to move USDT, for example, dollar that is, one tether.
Yeah.
Before you would have to pay maybe $30-$40 to move from just your money from one exchange to another using Ethereum. But if you use Tron, for example, or if you use Solana, it would cost you less than a penny sometimes. Maybe 2 cents at most.
So this is, I guess my question is, this is very good for the other blockchains, if they can sort of run Ethereum-based projects on Solana, on Phantom, on all these other blockchains. But what happens in general, and to all these alternative blockchains and side chains on this that people have been adding to Ethereum to make things quicker? What happens when Ethereum 2.0 comes along and presumably the fees drop right down?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Does everybody migrate back to Ethereum, and do some of these chains collapse? Like what?
Yeah, that is a very, very good question, and no one knows the answer to that yet. I think a lot of projects, no one knows. That's why I feel like it's very important to diversify and not just hold it on to one coin. It's important to but basically the thing is, no one really knows. Of course, these other alternative chains are a lot cheaper at the moment. Like you said, when Ethereum 2.0 comes out, who knows how cheap the fees are going to go. Of course, the network will be a lot faster then as well. So no one knows really. It's up for debate. It really is.
I guess like maybe two things I thought maybe is, one, the different blockchains will try and compete with having varied ecosystems, like maybe trying to pay to keep certain projects exclusive to one of the blockchains or something.
That's something that's occurred to me as well. Like, for example, some projects have moved from Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain, or from Ethereum to Solana. The question is, are these projects going to, risk upsetting some investors or their users by moving back to Ethereum? Would they be bothered if Ethereum or if Solana, for example, does the job for them? At the same time, by the time Ethereum 2.0 comes out, who's to say these existing alternative chains haven't improved their systems as well? So like you said, they're going to continue to compete and going forward. So that is a possibility, but in regards to exactly what's going to happen, no one knows, I think.
Yeah, I guess one thing that also I wanted feeding into that, I guess, is more and more like playing with DeFi sort of stuff, where you're connecting to DeFi projects, whether it's kind of to earn some interest or to swap coins or whatever. Increasingly, there seems to be options for more and more blockchains you can pick, like Ethereum or Phantom or blah, blah, blah. And it does feel like there's a word you used in one of your write-ups, which was interoperability or something, the ability to just kind of use any coin anywhere across all these blockchains. I mean,
these projects are like blockchain agnostic, so tied down to one blockchain, they can actually be implemented onto any chain. And I think that is definitely the future. More and more projects are using that since, and I think the more that becomes the norm, the less maybe people will stick to projects which are only offering one network.
Yeah, and I guess it's more from like the customer or the investors, from our point of view. It maybe doesn't even matter in the future. Like if you have your Ethereum coin or whatever you're using to invest, or your stable coin, and you can just plug into whatever website you need to use it on. Maybe it just doesn't matter what blockchain is doing that behind.
I feel like you're right. I feel like right now there's a lot of these blockchains are quite rudimentary in the sense that they're quite clunky to use. They're not very user friendly. You really need to know what you're doing, because like we've mentioned before, if you make one mistake, if you send it to the wrong address, there's no one who can get your funds back, for example. But I think as the space develops and becomes more mature, I think we're going to get better products out. And at one stage, you won't even realize what blockchain you're using. The underlying infrastructure will be based on a blockchain, maybe multiple blockchains, and the end user will not even realize, because the whole process will be so seamless.
Yeah, I think it's it. That reminded me of oh god, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the NBA. You probably know, like the NBA released like NFTs, special sort of. I think it was maybe replay clips of like historic moments, and it's called Top.
Was it Top Shots?
Yeah, that's it. I think, and when you're reading about it, like obviously, like people in the crypto community knew it was based on blockchain technology, and that was what kind of it was NFTs that were what you were buying essentially. But but like when you actually go to the website, it didn't say that up front. Yeah, it was just like digital collector's items. So for the average person, it was like, oh, cool, I can own this digital version of like a historic moment in NBA, and they didn't even really need to like engage with the blockchain or crypto wallets or anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's very interesting. Definitely,
the way forward is just tricking people into using the blockchain without telling them.
I think the cheapest, fastest network will win in the end.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be one network. It's just there are blockchains out there that even to this day are very slow to use. Of course, we have Solana, which is super fast, that has high throughput. We can support many thousand transactions per second. How other companies and how other projects are going to compete with that, I'm not sure. I would say that at this moment in time, it is one of the top competitors to Ethereum. But who knows what the space will look like in 5-10 years from now.
Yeah, you shared a chart in the community earlier that showed. I think it showed like the number of new projects being developed, or the number of
like development commitments or like commits made on the actual blockchain. So the number of like people who have made changes to the development of the project. Yeah,
and Solana is not as high as Ethereum yet, but it's catching up.
Yeah,
there's a lot of work being done on it. So I guess we're having a shortish podcast this week, so I'll just take the next minute to just plug the webinar or the workshop we're doing next week. Because the way we structured it last time is we didn't want it just. I mean, obviously, there's an opportunity to join the Crypto with Kash service at the end of the workshop, but we didn't want it to just be like a sales pitch kind of thing. So Kash, you like walked everyone through your strategy, and you gave them like a tip from the portfolio, which people would normally pay for, and we're doing that again. So like, even if you don't want to join the Crypto with Kash service, or you're not sure about it, it's still worth like turning up to be able to like ask Kash your questions and have him walk you through his strategy. And the strategy since we launched in March, like 6 cryptos from the portfolio have more than doubled, and you've sent sell alerts out for, which is like an amazing track record, I think. So that means that's profits locked in on some of the portfolio already, and it's through doing this strategy. It's through finding cryptos. Rather than just reading social media and like just following what other people are saying and sort of betting, you're doing like a proper investment thing. Why are you doing a proper investment thing, Kash, rather than just punting on crypto, Twitter cryptos?
I know. But I do believe it's important to have a strategy, because just being someone who looks at social media sentiment when it comes to new coins. Every week or so, there'll be new flavor, a new crypto that is talked about. It's going to be the next big thing, and maybe 2-3 days later, it's completely forgotten about and it's been replaced by another. But I feel like with us, because we're focused on the long term, I feel like we make better gains like that, because we're not investing in hyped up coins. We're investing in fundamentally solid projects.
Yeah, I've been like researching some DeFi focused projects and cryptos over the last few days, and it's really overwhelming almost immediately. Like you kind of pulled in every which way direction. Like, oh, this community is telling me this thing's going to be the next big thing. Oh, but then like an hour later you're reading about something else that is going to be the next big thing, and it can be like overload by information. So having like a step-by-step process to kind of properly look at the fundamentals of a coin and treat it like an investment, like turn off social media for a bit. But anyway, like if anyone is listening and they want to join us, even if they're a member of Crypto with Kash already and they just want to join to ask some questions in the live Q&A, that's fine. So it's next Tuesday 7 p.m. And it's free. and there'll be a link below this video or somewhere near the podcast if you're listening on a platform. But thank you for answering these questions today, Kash.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll speak again soon.
Sounds good.
Let me find the hang up button on this thing.